Good evening, everyone, and we just have our first forum before the main meeting, and we've got Anna Woodland, who's our youth mayor. I heard there was a bit of a coup going on. Someone said I was going to be gazumped, but we've got Anna here, and we've got Isabel, and we've got Abby, and we've got Josephine as well there. So I'll turn over to you, and you're live, my girl.
Hi, I'm Anna Woodlands. As Mayor Weston mentioned before, I'm Youth Mayor of the Youth Council. We currently have 14 councillors, all years through 10 to 12, from 3 different schools in the area. Earlier today, we just had our second meeting and we wanted to share just some of the stuff we discussed with council. I might get our councillors here to introduce themselves tonight.
Hello, my name is Isabel Balderson and I'm Deputy Youth Mayor of Leeton Shire Council. And I'm from Yankawag, year 11 as well.
I'm Abby Martin. I'm a year 11 student at St Francis and I'm Secretary for the Youth Council.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Josephine Ferrari. I'm from Year 12 in St Francis and I'm part of the Youth Council.
So the Youth Council was made to share the youth's perspective on what matters to us, why, and how can we get this to happen or to improve something, and giving that advice to the council. So we had a look at the council's agenda for today just as a bit of a practice. We reviewed 2 items, so the Roxy Theatre program and the council's delivery program and operational plan draft. So with the Roxy Theatre program, we noted that none of the youth councillors had attended the Roxy in the past year except for school events. We suggested movies to be held more often, not every weekend, but maybe once a month, particularly with aimed at younger kids as well as older youth, so say midday and then late afternoon or evening, to sort of gauge what movies would be appropriate. The Roxy could send out a survey to the public through social media, such as a poll or suggestion box, to get suggestions for movies. With the council's delivery program and operational plan draft, we discussed what was included within council's budget, as well as what was deemed non-essential within the budget due to the financial restrictions. Now, we agreed with the proposed non-essentials, but we particularly liked that it had been noted that social housing was delayed but not cancelled, and it was suggested that it could possibly be moved to another location of council land to access government support or grants, given that the current location possibly has land title claim, so then we can still have social housing. However, it was also noted that Leeton lacks emergency housing or accommodation, which is something that could be possibly looked into when installing the future social housing. Other than that, we've been discussing the problems with e-bikes throughout the community as well as future dog park, which we'll be discussing more in our next meeting in June, and we'll share those results with you when we have them. Thank you.
That's excellent. That's good. Any other member of will have a few words to say? No? If not, well, I'll move over to our councillors. Councillors, have any questions of the Youth Mayor and the Executive? Go ahead.
Madam Youth Mayor, the dog park, just if I can maybe preempt a few ideas or thoughts you might have about its location, because it's quite a difficult thing for us to be working with.
Well, we discussed the Nicknap Park near Parkview, as well as possibly any reservoir locations which often aren't easily accessed but could be used for that. However, we were willing to take a lot of councillors' suggestions during that meeting.
One more statement. The idea of emergency housing, that's never actually crossed our minds too much, and that's a very good contribution. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other councillors? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and also to the youth mayor and other councillors who are present. I really like the idea around more movies at the Roxy, and I believe the council is exploring that as well. Is there any ideas of what type of movies you'd like to be displayed? Is it more like, new releases, or, is there a possibility that the youth councillors can play a role in, I don't know, organising some events around some movies at the Roxy as well, where it could be some sort of fundraising idea for local charities or whatever, just maybe as an idea or preempting whatever. So maybe just your thoughts around that. Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. So we were speaking about possibly getting the community to choose what movies they'd like giving them options, and then through social media, putting up a poll, and they could select what they would prefer, or even have anyone can put forward suggestions, and then we can work around that, and to get the community more involved and more engaged. And regarding events, we haven't really spoken about much yet, but we will definitely look into that at our next meetings. Thank you.
Actually, Josephine, or councillor, we just had a councillor come in, Christian Mason, and that's very close to her heart about the films on weekends and for youth. So you can make a connection there.
We were fortunate enough to meet today at the Youth Council meeting and talk on a couple of those things as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have a question about the e-bikes. Do you have an opinion about the e-bikes? What could be done or not done?
We're more discussing possibly enforcing a speed limit or areas that they can be ridden in. However, it was approached that it would not be exactly possible for council to control it or enforce it, so we'd have to work out a way around that.
So you see it as a problem or as a benefit?
I think the e-bikes can be an issue when misused. However, they provide a lot of more accessibility for members of the community that may not be able to drive or access somewhere to work, or particularly because there's a lack of public transport in this area.
So are they expensive? So people who can't afford it, would they be sort of ostracised because they can't get hold of one? And
not currently, but possibly in the future as they increase in popularity.
Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I have a question about e-bikes as well. As far as I know, the current legal speed limit for electric bikes and other such devices is 25 kilometres an hour, so they should be speed limited. Are people altering them? Are they getting around it? Because I feel like we've seen them go really, really fast, much faster than 25 k's.
Yes, it is quite easy to alter them, particularly just by hand. You don't need really a lot of knowledge to do it. However, there is also a lot of e-bikes and e-scooters available that do not have that speed limit enforced due to the changing legislation.
Any more questions? Councillor Tynan.
Just through the Mayor to the Director of Operations, on one of the points that the Lady Youth Council Mayor brought up. Council can actually, there are signs around town, no alcohol zones, which are by council. Can the idea of e-bikes be put under that sort of structure?
Through the chair, yes, it can, but how does it enforced is the problem, councillor. That's the issue that we have. We have two ranges, and we have done some investigation. It turns out we have no rights to enforce speed restrictions in any shape or form. So it's very difficult for us. Well, it's not difficult, it's impossible. But, and considering that the police are not likely to take it up seriously anytime soon, because in theory they've got other things to do. I don't know how we can enforce it. I know Councillor Wright suggested drones with lasers, and I've not got much of a better idea than that.
Thank you, Director. Any more questions of our youth mayor? Councillor Kidd.
Hi. Thanks for coming along tonight, everyone. And I think we all really appreciate the fact you put your hands up. We are looking, and we always need generational change. And so I think a youth council is a really good way to do that and get some skills for your future life as well, because you're all at the dawn of something great. So thank you for coming along tonight. I was just wondering what part of youth council is most attractive to you or some of the other councillors here? What brought you along? I mean, you know, you've got plenty of things to do. You've got study and sport commitments and everything else. I was just wondering why you decided to put your hand up for this one.
I find I really wanted to do the youth council more just to have input within the community, because I find often stuff is put into place but not the youth's perspective considered, as well as other people of all ages. And so it's just more of an opportunity to also see what goes on behind the scenes and why something might be put into place. Unless anyone else has any comments? Yeah.
I think that's probably correct. It's very hard when you're younger to see why what old people do. I'll put myself in that box. Boston's not having a bar of it. But it's hard to understand why people make decisions that they do. So hopefully this will give you a bit more insight. So thank you very much.
Yeah, all good.
Councillor Wright.
Are you aware of the Have Your Say system that is available for certain decisions that council makes? And have any of you ever made a submission through that system?
I wasn't actually aware of it. I haven't noticed it being advertised through any council or like government platforms.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else. Yeah.
So I think the yearly number of social media posts that council makes is over 3,000 at this point. So it's very likely that these things get lost. I would just suggest that maybe something you could do as a council, as a youth council, is promote the awareness of that exists, the haveyoursay.leeton.nsw, and just keep an eye on it for anything that might be of interest to people, because you might find that, we find that sometimes there are fewer than a dozen responses to something really important, and if there are a dozen more from youth, that would give you a proportional, much bigger voice than you're currently getting. So that was just a suggestion for, in terms of having the youth perspective considered in decision making.
Yep. Thank you for that insight. We'll definitely try and consider it in our next meeting.
And through you, Mr Mayor, just on the back of Councillor Wright's suggestion, we can make sure that all engagement goes to the youth mayor to circulate out to your councillors so that we can get the message out there. So you can expect something from our comms manager, Terry.
Thank you. Any more questions of youth councillor Maris? Sort of mayor. I just got a couple of things. First of all, well done all of you for putting your hands up. Fantastic. I'm really interested about that question that Councillor Kidd asked, why you put your name forward and be involved. I'd like to hear from the other ladies why. And I've got two more questions after that. Thank you.
I thought it'd be an awesome opportunity to give others an opportunity to be a voice in the community and get others engaged more, especially in the youth, and spread the word.
Can do you know what's missing out there? Just your voice, or?
Well, I see with the impact of social media, like everyone's been disengaged for a while, and like we need to get everyone back together, especially the youth, and that's what I want to try and do, piece it back together.
Ah, yes, very good, very good. Thank you, Josephine. Abby?
I joined the Leeton Youth Council this year to help strengthen my leadership skills. At times I'm a bit shy, I don't really talk that much, so I thought putting myself out there a little bit would help increase my social skills, my leadership skills a little bit, kind of feel more confident talking in front of a crowd of people I don't necessarily know.
You're going really well, Abby. Well done. Good. And Isabel?
I joined Youth Council last year. This is my second year, and I joined because I was asked if I would be interested, and I said yes because I saw the opportunities and the leadership I could achieve, and stuff. And I would love, like they said, to get youth with more of a voice.
That's fantastic. Councillor Tyner's a school teacher, as you know, and I'm an employer. And the thing is that when you do go for a job, it's great in your resume to have this, and very good to be part of the community. And also, I must thank you for putting your names forward. And on the weekend, I was at the Anzac marches. I went to 5 of them, and a lot of youth were there, being part of the community. I felt really fantastic with the young ones there during those Anzac meetings. It gave me a lot of hope for the future. And also, going way back, we did have a youth council who got together and came to council and said that we want a skate park. And I remember the councillors at the time saying, oh, no, it's only a fad. It won't last long. Why put the money into it? But they were persistent. And we did put a skate park in, and that has been a success. So that's an example of what youth council can do. Thank you. I think, 2 secs, General Manager.
Mr Mayor, with your indulgence, I'd also like to just mention that the Youth Council will be doing a tour of our facilities over 2 consecutive Fridays so that they get to see, the sewage treatment plant, the water treatment plant and the landfill, and then also our cultural services, library, museum and the Roxy. So that's planned. And I'd also like to introduce the councillors more formally to Angel Echevarria. Angel has taken on the challenge of, I suppose, facilitating the Youth Council on behalf of Council. And Angel is new to this kind of thing, and I think she's learning as much as everybody else, but she's doing a great job. So, councillors, meet Angel.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you very much. Well, if there's no more questions, I might conclude that public forum for tonight's meeting and for our audience online. So hopefully audience online saw what was going on, which is great. And we'll have a short break from this April 2026 Ordinary Council meeting, and we'll be back at 6:30. So thank you very much, everybody. Good evening, everyone, and I now call Leeton Shire Council April 2026 Ordinary Council meeting to order at the time being 6:35 p.m. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all councillors, staff, community members present and gallery tonight, and I'd like to mention the former Councillor Tony Sisser is in the gallery, so Tony, keep an eye on us. Tony, thank you. Right, please stand. Councillor Tyner will take us through the civic prayer, followed by Councillor Kidd for the acknowledgement of country.
Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Leeton Shire Council acknowledges the Wiradjuri people and their continued impact on our community. We acknowledge their connection to the land, water and sky. We acknowledge all Aboriginal people who have made Leeton Shire their home, and as such we pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders, past, present and emerging in our Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. Please, everybody, be seated. Thank you. General Manager, are there any apologies or councillors attending the meeting via video conference tonight?
Mr Mayor, we have one apology this evening from Councillor Sarah Tiffin, and she asks for a leave of absence. Thank you.
All right, we have a recommendation that Councillor Sarah Tiffin a leave of absence. Do I have a move and a seconder for that? Moved by Councillor Kidd, second by Councillor Nardi. Thank you. Got a second. Any discussion? I put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to minutes of matter arising. The recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held Tuesday, the 31st of March 2026, as circulated, has been taken as read and confirmed. Do I have a mover? Councillor Kidd, Councillor Morris seconded. Any discussion? Put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? Declared as carried. Thank you. No procedural motions? Right. Disclosure of interests. Councillor requested to put any closure of interest and stand and declare. No. Of course, everybody knows about pressing the red button, of course, to talk. This is our second go at it, so we're going quite well. So thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the mirror minute, item 7.1 mirror minutes. It's there in front of you. The recommendation is, I'll read it out to you, that council endorses the Leeton Shire Council and Ramjo submission on the review of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, noting there may be minor adjustments prior to the submission, closing the date of the 1st of May 2026, which will be made in consultation with the Mayor. I'd like to put the motion. All in favour? Aye. And I'd just like to, while I'm here and I have the wider community out there, please also, can you put submissions in as well? Be it small or be it large, it's very important that we get our message across for this review. And please, you can download on the Shire website a pre-template to fill it out as well. So please, many possibly can. Thank you, council, for moving on. Sorry. Sure, go ahead, Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just with your mayoral minute, I'd just like to, apart from endorse it, I'd like to personally thank, on behalf of council, the General Manager. I was on the Murray-Darling Basin Region 9 meeting last Friday, and Jackie, our General Manager, Jackie Kruger, rated special mention on the work that she's been doing for water security, and especially through Ramjo and the submission that they put together, which sound very impressive and very comprehensive with the 11 councils, our neighbouring councils, that are all supporting and putting their own submission through to the Murray-Darling Basin Review Authority. So thank you. When I read the document last evening, I noticed all the points that had been raised through that meeting have certainly been endorsed in our submission. So thank you to our General Manager and others who have put time and thought into this, and with some substantiation. And hopefully someone will take notice, because they certainly need to, and I know all councils are feeling like us. They all have their own local area and the impact it will have on them, but also looking for the greater good of all regional councils for our water security. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morris, I concur with that. Very extensive consultation with all those councils, and it was great to see them all come together, all working in one direction. And I must thank the Mayor, the General Manager, because she's the chair of the Ramjo Water Committee. Very thorough, very wide, and the points have been put forward, and I think a good consensus amongst those councils as well. So let's hope they take it on board and do what we want them to do. All right, thank you. All right, moving on. Next item is the draft suite of integrated planning and reporting IPR. It's on page 5, draft 2026 to 2027. I think you've got a amendment in front of you. Yep. Okay, we're moving a seconder. Moved by Councillor Tynan, second by Councillor Wright. Thank you. Excuse me, any discussion? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just do have a few questions, if I can ask for you to the General Manager or any other relevant director.
Sure, Councillor Edwards.
Firstly, I just turned to page 105 or page 4 of the annual budget statement. The reported rate intake is estimated for the general fund to be around $9 million. Yet in the draft revenue policy, it's estimated to be a notional yield of an extra $300,000. Can you just explain that discrepancy to me there?
Do you have a page number? So
sorry, no, I don't have for the. I've lost that page for the discrepancy. 1 second.
I think it was 105, Councillor.
105 for within the annual budget statement.
105. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could I please ask the Director Corporate and our CFO to respond to that? So your question on 105 relates to the general fund, 9077 million,
Yes.
is that right?
Yep.
Compared to where you've seen in the revenue policy
The notional yield.
notional amount, which is slightly higher.
Yes.
Because I added them up myself. So thank you. I did ask the Director about this, so he'll be able to respond.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So when we show in our operating results, we also have some adjustments. So mainly that's pension rebates. So that is what is causing that amount to go down in here. But in revenue policy, we state the full amount. So these are some of the adjustments we net it off in here.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you. I just want to double check. Thank you. And just secondly, I take you to the statement of borrowings, which I've also lost the page number for. Just give me a second. On page 127. I just have a couple of questions around that. I think it's been explained to us before, but can you just refresh my memory of why the Roxy Theatre is listed twice with 2 separate loans? And then second to that, I'm also somewhat concerned about the interest for the larger loan for the Roxy being almost double the principal payments. Could you please maybe explain that as well? Thank you.
Director of Corporate.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we had the first drawdown of Roxy loan at 4 million, but then we drew down a second portion, which was the smaller amount again. So that's what is making up 2 portions. Now, the interest rates have gone up as you must have seen in the news and what's the RBA's decision are. That's why we are projecting 5.83 compared to what we originally took the loan at 4.59, because all these loans are due for renegotiation with the bank in a couple of months. So we expect the interest rate will go up.
It's a bit concerning that we're going to be paying double interest than the actual principal payment, though, isn't it? Or am I just...
I don't think it's double. It's actually gone from, so we had the Roxy loan, for example, at I think 4.59, but now for 26, 27, because we have to budget the higher interest rate, we are expecting 5.83. But until the negotiations are done, we don't know what we will end up with. It may be close to 6%, it may be 5.75, we don't know yet. So this is just our expected, as per best forecast, 5.83.
All good, thank you for the clarification there. And just finally, Mr Mayor, just around the Vance estate, because I know it's the largest loans on our books, besides the Roxy, is there any update on the sale of lots, etc., that we have in order to minimise that loan? Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll ask the Director of Economic Development to respond to that. Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So far we've had 2 of the blocks settle last week. We have another 3 blocks that are due to settle in the next 4 to 5 weeks. And we have offers out on another couple. In speaking with the real estate agent last week, he has a lot of interested parties and does not think that they'll be on the market for a very long period of time.
Thank you, that's all the questions I have.
Councillor Tone, you had your light on? Oh, it's a question. All right, good. Well done. Good. And we're going quite well with lights. All right. Any more discussion?
Mr Mayor, with your indulgence, I wouldn't mind just highlighting for councillors the fact that there are a few minor typos that need to be dealt with. We found a few 25s and 26s that should be 26s, 27s, thanks to the Mayor's very well scrutinised reading of the report. We are also going to make it clear that the laboratory, revamping the laboratory at the back of LMAG will also fall into the discretionary amounts, the discretionary projects that won't be actively pursued in the next year. So we'll just make that clear because it wasn't specifically mentioned last time. We're going to clarify that the $100,000 for the Whitton Museum is specifically for safety-related projects. So just be more clear on that. We will be adding in, just for clarification, any OPEX budget that is not just business as usual, we will actually identify. So, for example, Council is looking at a new digital art projection to add to the mix for the water tower, which costs $15,000. That's not really business as usual. So we will identify those kind of unique projects in the document. It's already in the budget. We just want to make it abundantly clear in the words in the IPNR document. Conopara Street. We're just clarifying this is Conopara Street in Whitton, that we will continue to advocate for its use by, potential purchase or somebody wants to lease it from a third party, but we'll make it very clear that we're not going to develop it ourselves in the short term, just so that there's no confusion there. Airport funding will go in, just to be very clear. It goes, of course, the money goes to Narrandera Shire Council, but we have an arrangement with them about sharing the costs every year of operating and capital expenses, and we'll make sure we clarify what that is. Again, it's in the budget, it's just not in the words. With the, let me just think if there's something else here. If you read in the beginning of functional area 6, all about roads, So it's not the actual delivery program, but the introduction page to function area 6 grey. It was grey. There were some percentages in a table that perhaps didn't make a lot of sense because they were repeated. So just to let you know, the first line's absolutely correct, and the Director of Operations kindly corrected all the others. So that will be corrected in the next document. I've talked about anything that's unusual cost will be individually itemised. And okay, so those are the things that the staff are recommending gets tweaked in this document that you've seen before it goes out for public exhibition. So I've got another thing to talk about shortly, but I don't know if councillors want to ask about anything.
Councillor Tyler has his light on, so.
Yep.
I just have a comment about the pie graphs on page 107. Specifically, they illustrate quite clearly the knife edge that council revenues are on, because 39% from rates, is it 39? And 39% for employee wages. So they balanced up nicely. So it's a good visual reminder of just how, at this point in time, how finely things are balanced.
Correct.
General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So moving on to just flagging for councillors, it won't change anything in the draft going out for exhibition, but I just want to flag to you things that have previously been raised and which will come to you as submissions in June would be the discussion around a Christmas tree. We'll look at making sure that we were putting $100,000 away a year for energy projects so that we could match grants 50-50 and get significant savings. And at the moment it's sitting in the budget as $20,000, and we'll be submitting back to council that maybe should go up to 100 again. And again, you can discuss it in June. We've got two very good pieces of news. We've got 100% funding for the ablution upgrade at the stadium. Just been announced, but it'll be a project for next year. It'll be a revote. And we have also had very good news via the football club about getting the lights 100% funded. When I say 100%, things might be 90%, but pretty close to 100%. And that will be adjusted in the June version. It won't be adjusted now. And then lastly, you will have noticed that gravel roads was in at 100,000. It's normally 350,000 per annum, and we've had a very good year weather-wise. But it would be unwise to have a budget that sees gravel roads come down to 100,000 as if that was normal. This year has been abnormal, so we'll probably come back to you in June to suggest that we put the gravel road budget back up to the normal $350,000. So this last conversation has just been to flag for you some things that will come back in June.
Thank you, General Manager. Councillor Nadia, you might have some news for us.
Just noted on the functional area 3 page, which is on page 40, there is a spelling mistake that I'm just a little bit confused about. It was stated that Mountford Park, Mackaki, Bicentennial Park and Graham Park, all 17 with playgrounds, are inspected monthly, and then it says are inspected weekly. So that probably needs to be recuperated correctly.
They definitely aren't inspected weekly, so
that's right. So probably just that one, just for confusion.
Yes.
Also,
what was that page, councillor?
40.
40. Thank you.
And then also, just to clarify, yes, and agree that we are very lucky to receive two grant funding applications this week. So well done to Silas and the team on helping put that through for not only the sporting clubs but also for council. And hopefully in the future we can see that the users of the stadium, get to have some feedback and some light on how the upgrade will work to suit the users mainly. I just have a couple of notes. If you just give me a moment, I just want to make sure that I've make sure I haven't missed anything. It's a very big document. I apologise. I'd like to just ask a bit of clarification about the commencement of the CBD facade painting programs. So it's still sitting in the budget, but obviously it's not going to be carried out unless we get 100% grant funding. If that grant funding never comes through, would it be safe to say that it would just be pulled out of the budget from here moving forward?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can answer that in two different ways because the Leeton facade project is distinct from the Yanco and Witten ones. So the Leeton money that's sitting in a reserve fund is actually from businesses who contributed their share and we put it in a reserve. And when that project gets advertised, we'll be able to access that reserve money. The Witten and Yanco projects are effectively on hold as part of being called non-essential for now. However, the Witten and Yanco Town Improvement Committees might want to do something with their money that they raise. So if something like that came through, it wouldn't be impacting a council asset, and if it was external funding, we'd facilitate it. But this budget is not recommending any money from council towards that project.
Yes.
But we certainly will assist if the locals are able to generate something.
Beautiful. Yep, thank you. I just maybe have one more. Sorry, just trying to find it. Thank you for that clarification. I may not be able to find it. I'd happily pass on to anyone else that would like to speak until I find it. Thank you.
We're having a discussion at the moment, and General Manager gave us a few points. It's great to finally see the lights, see some light for the lights, which is very good, coming through. If there's no more discussion, we had to move in a seconder. I'll put the motion. All in favour? All right. Those against? I declare it's carried. Perhaps Councillor Naidoo, you can talk to one of the senior staff members. Get it clarified for you. All right. Thank you. Now we're moving on to item 8.2, Draft Disability Inclusion Action Plan 2026 to 2030 on page 221 of the agenda. There is a recommendation put forward by staff that the council endorses the draft Leeton Shire Council Disability Inclusion Action Plan 2026-2030 for public exhibition for 28 days, and no substantial feedback is received during the exhibition. The plan will be considered adopted. Someone like to move that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Kidd, seconded by Councillor Maton. Any discussion? We've got, put your lights on for me, Phil. Yeah, good. I think Councillor Morris beat you, Councillor Kidd.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to just ask a question because I've heard from a member of the public. It's just regarding on page 235, one of our major accessibility projects, which I'm all in favour of, is the installed lift in the Leeton Museum and Art Gallery. And I believe it's not functional or not operating successfully at the moment. I was wondering if we could just have an update, please.
To the Director of Operations.
Through the Chair. Yes, we've had some problems with the lift. It's not functioning properly. We suspect it's in the control panel where the fault exists. We've had the manufacturers out a number of times. We've had them on the phone again, giving them a firm ultimatum that it needs to be resolved. Short of replacing the control board, I actually don't have a better solution. They've done all of the adjustments they can do. Their return is that it's been used to carry heavy goods. We're not convinced that that's the case. So it's a mounting fight, but it is the same lift manufacturer or the same lift supplier that produced the Roxy lift, which provides absolutely no trouble whatsoever. So it is possible, and it needs to be done. So we've raised it with them. We've given them the fatal alternative, and we'll proceed from there.
Thank you, Director. Can I ask, I assume it's still under warranty?
Oh, absolutely it is, yes.
Okay. well, I'd like you to fight the fight, please, and get us operational as soon as possible. And well done, congratulations on the document. It's a very, I think, progressive document, and certainly shows that we have acted, taken suggestions on board over the last couple of years and really put them in place in our community. Thank you.
Councillor Kidd, did you want? No.
I will, thanks, Mr Mayor. I'm just noting with this policy that it's a regular update which we have to do because obviously the legislation changes needs change over time. But I would invite the public to actively participate in this. I think most people in the community, and certainly the fair-minded ones, are really noticing how much better we're doing than we were. And Roxy and LMAG and things like that are certainly standouts. But also the adult changing facility in Sycamore Street. Those sort of things are real game changers for people with disabilities and also people that are travelling and moving around. It opens up tourism, a whole stack of things for them. So please have a look at that document. Only you know what's important to you, and we're happy to, where we can, take your thoughts on and add to the policy. And I'll just invite people to just think about how far we've come along with access. And certainly as somebody who's had a history of bad knees, the lifts at the Roxy are just absolutely fantastic compared to climbing those stairs. Also, congratulations to the staff that have prepared this report, but this is also an opportunity for me to also express my appreciation to the staff that hunted very hard for grant money and put a lot of work into the adult changing facilities in Sycamore Street. So thank you to everyone concerned with those projects. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. Director of Operations.
Mr Mayor, I've just been notified that a pedestrian has been struck and killed in Whitton on Bringen Road heading west out of Whitton. Not much known at the moment, but our staff are on the scene closing roads.
That's not good. Thank you, Director. Thank you very much. Just going back on that last disability one, I concur with that. It's exactly great work done by all. And I appeal to the community out there as well. Could you please look at this? Got 28 days, and even the previous report in regard to integrated planning is out there for 28 days. So please come forward and put down your submissions and your ideas. Well, not submissions, but look at the document and have your submissions. Thank you very much. Now, we had a move in a second. We had some discussion. I'll put the motion. All in favour, aye. Those against, I declare it's carried. Thank you. All right, thank you, Councillor. Our next item is item 8.3, meeting notes from the Roxy Advisory Committee, held on March the 2026 on page 244. There is a recommendation put forward there by staff. Recommendation reads, the Council receives for information the notes and attachments of the Roxy Advisory Committee, RAC, meeting held on the 23rd of March 2026. Do you have a move and a second for that? Move, Councillor Kidd, second by Councillor Wright. Any discussion? Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just do have a couple of questions just to also potentially just rejig my memory as well. It's just around the restoration of the Roxy heritage seats. How has this progressed? I understand that someone from the Narrandera is the restorer. Was the restorer brought on through like an expression of interest, and is there a cost to it? And it's my understanding, are the seats to be sold or auctioned off to further add to the fundraising efforts by?
Gentleman, can you answer the question?
Through you, Mr Mayor, certainly the refurbishment of the seats in of the heritage seats is on the cards with the grant funding that's available. I've not personally signed a contract because I sign most of the contracts that are beyond a certain amount of money. I haven't signed any contracts. I'll have to inquire as to where it is from a procurement perspective. So I can't give you that answer on the spot, but we'll take it on notice. That's all right. Then in terms of the heritage seats that aren't being used, we've already sold them, those that were spare some time ago, and there's no intention of selling the heritage seats that are currently in the theatre. Is that right?
Councillor Kidd has information, please.
Yeah, if I can add to that for Councillor Edwards, as part of our approval for the refurbishment of the Roxy, there were certain heritage conditions that we had to meet, and amongst those was we had to keep a representative sample of seats, original theatre seats from the Roxy. And generally the ones on the Wade Avenue side are in much better condition than the ones on the other side. We have attempted to sell the surplus seats. So most of those date from about 1929, I believe.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. Do you have any more? Sorry, I'm moving on to Councillor Tynan. I think Councillor Edwards had your questions answered. Is that right?
I just have one further question, and I note that the fundraising subcommittee hasn't yet met. Do we know when roughly that will be? Because I know that was formed a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
Looks like Councillor Morris might.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can talk to that. There is a meet, and yes, you're right. I'm on that subcommittee, and we have a meeting this Thursday evening, which I'm again going to struggle with because I'm now be heading away for work at 5 a.m. in the morning. So we've had a few troubles just all coming together for all kinds of things with people's work commitments, unfortunately. It hasn't changed the situation, though, the dedication to do it. So, and there's not to say ideas aren't being formulated, we just haven't got actually all met in the one place together that we have some minutes to document.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. I thought that might be the case. I just wanted a clarification and just make sure that was on record. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards, Councillor Tynan.
Mr Mayor, through the GM, I'm just trying to get in my head an idea of what the relationship or partnership will look like between council and RIPA. The reason I ask that is because it's stated that RIPA will be a standalone authority by itself. It's also mentioned that the partnership will be fleshed out. It just worries me that I could accept a partnership being fleshed out if there are two internal units of the council doing a business thing, but to have an independent body as RIPA fleshing out the relationship with council as it goes concerns me. I'll give an example why. We had the Leeton Community Builders get a grant and then that went bust. Then they came to council for some more money. So I have a concern that if the relationship between council and the RIPA is not clearly defined with roles and responsibilities, then we could end up having RIPA as a legacy expense on council. I'm wondering if you can, for example, one of the wins for the Leeton would be having two staff move from Roxy onto the RIPA budget. Is that correct? That's one win for us.
Thank you, Mr.
General Manager.
Just so that I can get it out my mind, the Leeton Community Builders, so this is before I answer the Roxy question, nobody went bust, so I just need to clarify that. It's a building project and essentially it was insufficient funding, which is why they asked council for a loan. So just to, in case anyone thinks that somebody like a builder went bust or anything, that wasn't the case.
I apologise for the wording, it's just...
Okay, coming back to the Roxy Theatre, when the Roxy redevelopment was mooted, there was extensive public engagement about what the future vision of the Roxy would be. And that's been documented many times over. I think councillors will recognise words like to be open in new and exciting ways, having the facility open more than just occasionally like a theatre and a movie house, but have it more active more of the time. And as you know, councillors, council's budget really extends to running a more traditional kind of theatre. So our staffing in our budget caters to hiring in shows or buying in shows or hiring the space for a conference. That's what council does. To get the full vision realised, we have the opportunity now for RIPA to be set up, and as Councillor Tynan mentioned, it will be a standalone charitable trust with its own board, and it will be able to access philanthropic funding and grant money that council can't access. And its role would be to do more of all the creative industry stuff and the education elements of the program that council's traditional services aren't able to deliver. So we see that as complementing what council does, working collaboratively together as partners in order to realise the community's full vision of what they actually wanted. And if you think of it as a stool, there's a third leg, a three-legged milking stool. The third leg is of course the Dream Team, and the Dream Team are currently 68 volunteers strong, and the Dream Team would service both. The idea is that RIPA complements and helps council to achieve that full vision, but at no direct cost to council. We wouldn't be paying RIPA in this at all in this model that I've just explained to you. RIPA will be funding itself, but will be operating in a complementary fashion. So you could say it's those three legs of the stool working collaboratively that will enable us to realise that full vision without it being a financial impost on council.
A part of the win for council would be, I did read in here that the aim would be to have 2 staff move on to.
Yes. So there's no commitment to moving 2 staff. That I've got to be careful with that language, but the value of 2 staff. So that financial value, once RIPA's up and running, and it might not happen in its very first year of operation, but if we look at year 2, 3 or 4 of its operation, we hope to have the value of those 2 staff currently being funded by council picked up through the RIPA operations. So if all goes to plan, the cost to council of running the Roxy should come down marginally.
Can you provide a copy of that plan if all does go to plan? Because I'd like to see it, step by step by step. That's what I'd like to see.
So if you're talking about a financial, like how it might, yes, I can provide you with a copy, but it effectively will be the budget for the Roxy, which you've seen previously at council. And then we'd say in 3 years' time, it might reduce by the equivalent of 50,000, and then maybe the year after 100,000, the year after 1. So it will be a gradual lessening of the impost on council.
I still have another. I can wait for my questions.
I was just going to add some clarity to that. That 600,000 has to meet the conditions under which the grant funding was received from the federal government, and that's fairly specific there. And it does also specify that 2 ongoing roles be created, and we don't have a lot of wriggle room within the conditions that come from grants. Grants can't just be spent willy-nilly. They have to be for purpose, and we obviously have to reconcile those at the end. Thank you.
Have you read the grant, Councillor Kidd?
Some time ago.
Thank you.
Councillors, we're discussing the notes from the advisory committee.
Mr. Mayor, I still have a few more questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm looking at the graph from page 271, and in there I'm just wondering if, through the Mayor to the GM, I could be told what hire equipment was, the cost of which and what hire equipment wasn't passed on to the theatre, for the Rocks, the Beyond Again.
Mr. Mayor, if the councillor feels that that's of great consequence, I can inquire. I'd have to take it on notice. The
Through the Mayor
Roxy
to the-
manager's on holiday, so if you could give me 2 weeks to come back to you, that would be good.
If it wasn't of consequence, I wouldn't bother, but I'm just asking a question, that's all. Further on that graph, I'd like to point out, it seems that a couple of things here. For the Ali and Caribbee, there was a loss of 1747, but council was projecting a forecast profit of 6,500. That's quite a discrepancy between forecasts and what was achieved. Again, that discrepancy is there at, say, 1,400 for David Shield, and council projected 2,600. I'm wondering if the projections, the way it's projected or whatever, might need, the methodology might need consideration to make it more of a fine-tuned prediction. There's that comment. The other thing I'd like to note is that it seems that the projects that the Roxy puts on, the live entertainment, it might be more about catering to the masses, of what the masses want, versus some of the more artistic types of things. Beyond Again was a very, very profitable thing. And with what the Youth Council presented tonight, maybe we should be listening to more of what the youth want in the use of the Roxy in terms of movies and these sorts of things. So I think some significant thought needs to occur with the actual programming and with the forecasting of results.
Mr. Mayor, two responses to that. And I will suggest to the manager that the word forecast possibly should be removed out of that column, because it wasn't a forecast profit. It means that if the show was sold out, what would the profit be? So we will clarify that, as opposed to saying that this was what they anticipated to yield. Certainly in terms of buy-in shows like Beyond Again, you have to pay the people. They're popular, absolutely, and let's hope we have many of them come back and we have just a good turnout. I think everybody reported an amazing night. But in terms of profit, that kind of show yields the Roxy the least amount of profit. So the cost back to the, what we have to pay the performers is a much higher cost than some of the other shows. And if we're able to sell out some of the other shows, we'll make much more profit for council than a big show like Beyond Again. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. Please make sure that I'm not misunderstood there. But I just want to be very clear that those kind of buy-in shows are actually not the big profit makers. And I've talked so much, I've forgotten what the second, just prompt me about the second matter.
The second point was about catering more to the masses versus
yes.
art house niche things.
Yes, so I think one of the things that I've asked the Roxy manager to do is to create a framework for how we will book the Roxy to match the resourcing that we have available. And the framework needs to look at shows and movies, but look at it in the context of the different groups, whether they're age groups, interest groups in the Shire, so that we can make sure that we've got something for absolutely everyone in the community, including those high interest kind of events. So, for example, unfortunately, they've now changed the date on us, but I hope it will get rescheduled. But for example, Fanny Lumsden, who's a real up-and-coming artist, has contacted us to play at the Roxy, and it didn't suit us, but we moved heaven and earth to make the date available because she's a very popular
So the
artist.
date on the 1st of August, I think it was, doesn't stand anymore?
No, they've just cancelled it this week. And they haven't cancelled it, they're going to postpone it because her release of her new song clashed with some other person's release of a new song, and they didn't want to have them competing at the same time.
All right, Councillor Madam.
It is a little bit of echoing Councillor Tynan, but my question was, how do we ensure that Ripper is complementary to the running of the Roxy and doesn't impact what the community expect or want from the theatre? And how do we ensure that there's not major scheduling impacts? So we've got the manager and the team running, the cinema side of things. We've got them running, whether it's a live show, music, that type of thing. And then we have Ripper alongside looking at the educational type of stuff and other things that I guess I'm not even aware of until they get off the ground and we can see what that looks like. But how do we, prioritise that, and how will that be managed?
And through Mr. Mayor, all of those things are a work in progress. Certainly, from council staff's perspective, we seeing Ripper as a help to us, not a hindrance. So, Ripper being up and running will provide a level of activity at the Roxy that we can't do, and we will work very hard to work in partnership in a way that's complementary. So at this point, I don't have the secret recipe of how that, other than there'll be a commitment to work in a complementary fashion as genuine partners.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Now, I just have one other question, and just looking at the scheduling for the rest of the year, and it is reasonably busy between now and December. Obviously, there's the standard things like the dance concerts. They always attracted, a big audience. The band spectacular.
Ested
lots of things that we're, familiar with. But there's lots of gaps, and I'm not going to list them all, but, throughout the year where there's opportunity to be running a movie, and I'm happy to kind of provide the gaps that I found, whether they're right or not, but there's lots of kind of chance for a Friday movie and a Sunday afternoon, or there's some weekends where we could do a Thursday, Friday, but there's the Saturday's booked out. Just with the shutdowns, because there's lots of them which are obviously continuous periods with Roxy 2, does that fully impact the main auditorium? Because if it doesn't, could there be movies on those dates?
Through Mr. Mayor, everything that you've just said is a consideration. So the build team have asked for the Roxy to be shut down so that they have total access to the site. But as they get closer to the time and can work out the exact scheduling of the trades, they might be able to include a more last-minute movie. But in terms of booking shows and whatnot, we're keeping shows out of that period.
Yep.
But in terms of doing something that can be more agilely put into place, those things we'll be able to know a month in advance what exactly they need.
I get that, yeah. So obviously a larger show, there's a lot more planning, seats moving in and out. And just the very last one, and it came up at the Youth Council today, was, and I noted that there's a youth movie screening, and it's just around the scheduling. It's like a Wednesday night. I just wonder sometimes, those things would be, I think, more appropriate on a weekend. Even the Youth Council gave that feedback. Oh, it's a Wednesday night, probably not the best night. Pardon? They were the kids at the youth. That year they were the boarders at our youth council meeting, so they're the ones saying, "Oh, that's not going to work." So I think sometimes we need to look at those gaps where we're going to increase our audience, and if the youth are looking, I think they're really looking forward to going to the Roxy, but I'm not sure if the opportunity has been there for them to attend those types of things. So why not try and put that on a Friday or a Saturday night, a Saturday afternoon? I think we have to be looking more broadly at the community and who are the groups. It's a school night. To be honest, I thought it was ridiculous.
Well, thank you. I'm looking at the red lights. Now, who was next after? It was you at one stage. So we've got Councillor Tyler and Councillor Nardi.
Through the Mayor, the GM. Just for my learning, do these minutes here from the RAC being information only, do they have to go back to the RAC for confirmation, or we just accept this as information?
Through you, Mr Mayor, these minutes have been circulated to the RAC members for endorsement, and that basically the RAC members have endorsed it. But the minutes will still go back to their meeting as a final record, in case somebody, I suppose, hasn't endorsed him, but by far the majority of RAC members responded with their endorsement over the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Thank you. General Manager, Councillor Nardi.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm also had questions in regards to what Councillor Tynan and Councillor Maidham have just discussed, and I'll keep it brief because they basically said everything that I was going to say, which is great. A couple of things that I would like to see, definitely, I would like to see that the RIPA program does try and have those discussions with what the youth of our town would like, and not just the youth, because a couple of councillors and I have sat on the Roxy meeting numerous times, and I feel that our ears are probably not getting, are too open, and our voices aren't getting heard. But if I had $1 for every time someone in the community asked me when we're going to run movies, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now, I'd be holidaying in Hawaii. So the thing is that all of these events are great, don't get me wrong, but it's not for everybody, and there has to be other options. And it is sad, to see that some of them aren't earning money, and it is what it is. But a movie at the cinema, which has always been a Roxy Theatre promoting movies for as long as I've been alive, is an important thing for our town, and I can't say it again anymore. The youth on the youth movie should have been discussed with the youth kids. The youth group held a youth night at the Roxy last year, and it was great. We had 153 students or something attend. If that's the case, we have a youth council to discuss these things, to when it's going to be suited to the youth of our town, and asking them what movie they would like to play. I'm a little bit disappointed that they weren't, brought in to have that discussion, or it wasn't discussed with them moving forward, because at the end of the day, we can't hold something if we're not getting feedback from these students as to what we're going to do. Basically, I'll leave it at that because I think we've said enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nardi. Going forward, I note your concerns, those three councillors, about the type of program. I understand. We're going forward. We've got a new idea. We've got new ideas going forward. We hope it all works out. We have to do some planning. We've got different sections of the community, as you know. We've got youth, we've got the elder, we've got all sorts of type of community. And there will be some sort of blending going forward, and try and pick those nights, the best nights, a bit of trial and error. But I think in general, we've got it up and running, it's going, and it will be a little bit of conflict of ideas, but I think we're going in the right direction. Thank you. Now, I had a move in a second. We had some discussion. Are all in favour? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on to next item is the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee. ARIC, on 18th of March, minutes of the chairperson report, page 273. There is a recommendation put forward to us to move. Notes that the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on Wednesday, 18th of March 2026. Point 2, notes that the chairperson report to the Mayor and the councillors from the Audit, Risk Committee, Improvement Committee meeting held on Wednesday, 18th of March 2026. Do I have a move and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Edwards, seconded by Councillor Morris. Before I put the motion, any discussion? I want to add something at the end. We all finished?
Mr Mayor, I couldn't attend for work reasons, but I did pop up and have lunch with our ARIC team.
Thank you for that.
And it was lovely to meet everyone in face to face in the flesh. They're a great bunch, and they're doing some really terrific work. And I would draw councillors and the community's attention to the statement from the head of ARIC which is provided at the end of each one of these resorts. I think it's well worth a read.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I commend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. I was at a board meeting that day in Sydney, which is sometimes difficult when they're held during the day, but never mind. I had access to thoroughly read the agenda beforehand and correspond with the chair. Just a couple of points. I do very much welcome her commentary and her letter to you, the Mayor, as a summation of all the meetings. She's a very qualified chair and we're very fortunate to have her, and she certainly touches on all the aspects that need consideration. Just two of the ones that probably are more finance-based that I particularly took note on, and that was just her points of the capitalisation process, and that's just for our finance department, and I'm sure further conversations have been had, but just not waiting till the end of a quarter and just doing it, monthly as required. So then there's no quarterly surprises of those types of things. The other point was just similar with the asset valuation schedule of trying to commence them well, early in the start of a financial year. The same thing, it just gives time, whereas they're major issues that sometimes, as the financial year is drawing to an end, can prove quite a bit of work. So, her points are always, the committee's points are always very valid, and I like the way that they give us recommendations of ways of improving and are happy to work with our council. I also may mention that they did give commendation for our finance department in their forward planning for this year's financials of being on track. So, again, touching on that, it's always a big job of pulling it together, and 30 June comes very quickly. So well done to our team, and we look forward to seeing those results when they're due. Also, just as you will see, that our committee member who was up for re-election has indeed been endorsed, Mr Max Shanahan. Yeah. So I think that's he's a very deserves to be on that committee, and his input's always invaluable. So thank you, Mr Chair. Just comments I wanted to make, but I certainly find the Chair's summation of the meeting invaluable to us all.
Yeah, I concur with that. I did attend the meeting, and I'm impressed with the professionalism of the ARIC. It's independent. When we were asked to we were told to put an independent ARIC committee together. It would cost us money, and I thought, we would get much evaluation, but we got good evaluation out of it, and it gives us ideas and so forth. Some of those ideas might need more staff, but they're pretty good, the ideas. But we are going quite well. And I just want to finish. I just want to read this out, because I know, councillors, you've read it, but I want to read it out. This is the last part of her report to me, and because the community is listening, and she says, since the meeting, I have also been delighted to discover the awarding to council of the AR Blewett Award back in November 2025. As I worked alongside several New South Wales-based councils, I think about 23, it was brought to my attention how illustrious this award is and how its aspirations to achieve it, this award. She says it comes at no surprise that council does punch way above its weight and never shies away from any opportunity to improve. I'm proudly associated with the work of the council. So she really endorses us, and that's good endorsement from an independent chair who deals with other ARIC committees. So thank you. All right, now we moved and seconded. We had discussion. So I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Thank you. Declared it as carried. Next item is the item 8.5. It's in regard to the FSAC meeting minutes for February Financial Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting. We call it FSAC. Minutes for February and March 2026, page 228. Recommendation is, I'll read it out to you. That the council, A, maintains a watching brief on Roxy pricing over 2026 to 2027 to see if a further review is warranted. B, continue to operate the Roxy for the foreseeable future and supports the establishment of RIPA via the Sustainable Community Grant. C, prepares a principle-based guide to consultant engagement to ensure value for money, transparency, knowledge transfer where appropriate. D, continues with the usual support for small business via economic development service and membership of the Leeton Business Chamber. And E, notes the appointment of Professor Joseph Drew to review the need for a special rate variation, SV, with Council CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and if it is to proceed, note that community engagement will commence mid-year. Have a move and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Kidd, seconded by Councillor Mayton. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Those against? I know it's carried. All right. Thank you, councillors. The next item to consider is item 8.6, Investment Report, March 2026. We have a recommendation. The council notes the information contains the investment report for March. Have a move in a second now. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Kidd. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
Morris.
It's just probably a query. Our water portfolio, which has done well this year, I just wondered, do we have any excess that we're predicting at this moment that we can finalise before 30 June?
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have recently sold the last bit. The Director of Operations is literally watching it week by week and then recalculating, because you know we've got a buffer. So I hand over to the Director just to let you know, I don't know if you can recall the latest sale, Silas.
Thank you, General Manager. Through the Chair, yes, that's exactly how we're doing it. We have an amount of water left to last us to the end of the year, and obviously that's now approaching rapidly. We calculate what we estimate we will use. We used last year's numbers in this particular instance because they looked conservative enough. We're doing well under those numbers. So we sold off, I think it was 100 megalitres last week or the week before. That now takes us absolutely to the limit. We do have a 10% buffer, and that 10% buffer gets adjusted as we use more water, because obviously the 10% is a lot less. So there will be another small sale, one or two perhaps, but certainly not very much now.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. Any more discussion? No red lights on? Councillor Kidd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Back to the Director, if I may. The 10%, is that legislated or is that just our judgment on that?
Through the Chair, that's actually our policy.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. Question. No more discussion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? Declare it as carried. Thank you. Next item is 8.7, Leeton Tree Advisory Committee meeting on the 18th of March 2026, page 320. There's a recommendation put to us that Council endorse the recommendations of the Leeton Tree Advisory Committee and notes for information the minutes of the Leeton Tree Advisory Committee meeting held on Thursday, 18th of March 2026. Do I have a mover or a seconder? Mover, Councillor Tynan, second by Councillor Nardi. Any discussion? Red button, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment for this motion, specifically that Council seek the opinion of an arborist upon the health or otherwise of these trees slated for removal.
Right, I've got to get a vote for the amendment to be added.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you would need to have the seconder second that.
Yes, right.
Because the seconder actually seconded the original recommendation, so Councillor Knight is happy to second it.
Are you happy to second it,
Then that
Councillor?
becomes the motion.
Yep.
It's not an amendment if the
No,
seconder
yeah,
seconds
that's
it.
right. You moved it, but for the amendment, right, your seconder has to agree to the amendment. No, your second was the...
Yeah, no.
Mr Mayor, just a question for the Director of Operations. Roughly what would be the cost of getting an arborist to assess them?
Through the chair, I would imagine it would be about $5,000. If I can just add, just a point to this,
It's always good to float these ideas before we get here.
So only just because it's been brought up. I think in the light of not spending money, one thing, but I'd like to know whose decision it was. Obviously, the tree committee, there are people in there that understand that. So I'm sort of half between the two. I'm really sorry. It's a bit difficult. If we can take it on notice, I think. If it's. Sorry, just because it has come so quickly, I'd happily say that I think we need to
That's
get
okay,
further
Councillor.
feedback.
We
So I'd
can't
I'd not
discuss
agree
anymore.
with it. No,
If you're not
that's fine.
seconding, if you're not seconding the amendment, we can't discuss it.
That's what I'm stating. So without the fact that it's just come at the drop of the hat, I'm sorry, I won't
You
be able
just
to
explained
second
yourself,
it.
I understand.
So, yes.
Right, so that amendment lapses.
I think
We've got the motion in front of us, people. Is any more discussion?
Thank you,
Councillor Edwards.
Mr Mayor. I think I'll follow up Councillor Nardi and Councillor Tynan's questions around who actually made those decisions, who's looked at those trees to decide that they're so unwell to be removed, because it's been there's been a strong community interest in those particular trees.
Well, Councillor Edwards, you're asking that question then.
I am
aren't you?
asking that question.
Yes,
Am I allowed to ask that question?
Yes, you are.
I don't know.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll put it for agenda
Will answer that question.
operation.
through the chair, the tree committee sat. A number of submissions were discussed as to damage to property, surrounding property, fences and the like, and it was moved that they be removed. That was regrettably accepted by the committee, understanding that the trees were mature. The problem with them is they were sentenced to death many years before we were here in having been lopped from above, and that means that they've grown up to bush outwards rather than grow upwards. They've done fairly well with it, but they've grown a whole lot of branches that are all of roughly the same size, and none of them are able to sustain the tree properly, and that crown ultimately is going to break off. Now, it hasn't, and it hasn't killed anyone, but it's not to say that it will in due course. It's certainly caused property damage to the surrounding properties, but I think to short-circuit the councillor's question, our intention was, and I realise that the minutes don't show it, but the intention was to do some core samples into the centre of the trees to see what the centre looked like, because the view that we have is that they are starting to fail from inside, not from the outside. So that was something we were going to undertake anyway, if that is of any consolation, Councillor.
Thank you.
All
That
right.
was the question that was my concern, foremostly, because that's what the report stated. And I'm assuming that the neighbouring houses are okay with that because it's going to cause problems to their property. And so, yeah, I think it was nothing with the report, and apologies to Councillor Tyne, and I can see that, but I don't believe that the Tree Advisory Committee would have made such a hasty decision unless it was for a good reason. So, thank
We're
you.
discussing the motion in front of us. Right.
Mr Mayor, I have just one question. There is a proposal to plant, I think, 210 trees, is it? Just over 210 trees. From the last draft of that document, which is these 210 trees are the stretch value, the business case is the business as usual. It says it was within budget. Now, I'm just wondering if this stretch case, for which it's about another $100,000 a year, if that also within budget of the tree planting strategy, or whether that money has to come from somewhere else.
That's the question. That's the question. I'll put it through to the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll hand over to the Director for detail, but to advise you that in this year's budget, to achieve the forecast tree planting strategy that you've read, there's an extra $30,000 in the tree planting budget. So it's not double, it's only $30,000 more to purchase the trees. Yeah.
So that's a shortfall of $70,000 for this tree planting scheme for the year?
No, it's only 30,000. So the shortfall is 30,000 to acquire the additional trees.
Thank you.
Can I see if I understood correctly when I inquired? It's gone from 30,000 to 69,000. Yep. Director, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, there's good reason, and we haven't gone into it before, but I'll go into it very briefly now. We intend to start in areas where there's very little required for us to do. In other words, the soil's good, there's access to water, we don't have issues with roadways, there's all of those kind of things. And we went and did a survey during the week last week, and some of the avenues and chain circles off Petersham are obviously aimed at, because there are no trees down there at all in some of them. So they're low-hanging fruit. I hate to use that terminology, but that's what they are. When we get to the end of the program, Councillor, we're going to have issues of trying to put in centre median trees and things like that, where concrete boxes have got to be set into the ground. There's a major amount of road work that's got to be done, and they are an expensive exercise. Now, if we ever get that far, great, then we can talk about those then. But from the point of view of this year and next year, it's going to be a very, very small amount, because we really only need to buy the trees. That's all we've got to do. The staff will plant them, the staff will tend to them, and now that we have an arborist, we'll set up a maintenance program for them as well. If you look down Petersham Road at the moment, heading towards Yanko, you'll see that the ones on the right-hand side are taking beautifully, and we hope that we'll continue with that success.
Can I just make one comment, Mr. Mayor? Had that information about the tree core drilling for ants, white ants, been in the minutes here, it would have been quite valuable.
I realise that through the chair, and I apologise. That should have been done.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. We just had discussion. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just further on that drilling for the fire ants and the white ants, if it's found that there isn't any, what would happen to those trees then? So are we still taking those down or no?
You've misunderstood.
I'm probably misunderstood. I'm trying to get a clarification. Thank you.
All right, as it was a question.
Yes.
I'll put.
Down to the reason for core drilling.
Is that the question, Councillor Edwards?
Why are we core drilling? To see what's inside. The problem with trees, even mature trees, particularly mature trees, they look healthy from the outside, but when you cut through them on the inside, they are full of termites. Eucalypts are bad for that, and we just need to have a look at these. As for any of the other issues, if they're completely healthy, well, then we need to come back to the tree committee and tell the tree committee they are completely healthy, and then get a decision that way.
Thank you. That's how I wanted to. I probably didn't ask it properly, but yes.
No, that's fine. That's
fine. And just one more thing. So if the trees were to come down, if they were found to be unhealthy, will it be? Is that area identified as where trees will be planted as a priority? Because it's probably the only part of that walking path where it's really well shaded at times, besides, along the sports over there. So I just want to seek more clarification around that.
I'd like to think so, but I'll ask the question of the Director.
Councillor, through the chair, No, it wasn't. It's certainly because we had the tree planting plan come up before the decision of the tree committee. But should it be that there needs planting there, then very obviously we will have to prioritise that and get those in as soon as possible. What particular type of tree? There's been no decision made or even no discussion of. So we'll most certainly bring that back to the tree committee before it happens.
Thank you, that's all.
General Manager wants to go, and then Councillor Kidd, can you put your
Mayor,
light on for me, please? Put your light on for me.
our usual process is when we remove a tree, we replace a tree, sometimes with two. So one, I think we'll ask the director to maybe come back with some feedback to council about what the replacement arrangement will be at that corner.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. We take a tree goes in. Councillor Kidd, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll concur with the General Manager. Yes, we do have a policy of replacing one removed tree with two. And I would stress that if you were to retain the trees, firstly, it would be against the wishes of the residents that live there. But the other thing is the epicormic growth, which is caused by the regular pruning of a tree, as the director said before, weakens the tree and creates branches that are vulnerable. And what that means is that over time that it actually increases the requirement for maintenance. And obviously that maintenance takes a great deal of time and costs a significant amount of money. So from a financial point of view, these are very old trees. Whilst we don't want to see them go, and you know, I wouldn't say there was a tear in the eye, but it was pretty close. We were very reluctant to do this, but we have to consider all options. The requests of the residents, future costs and maintenance, and there will come a time when those trees will have to be removed anyway. And at cost of maybe several $1,000s every second year. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. There's always a bit of a balance between the two, with safety and beauty. Okay. General Manager, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think following the conversation this evening, if council is of a mind to go with the recommendation, the director and I will make sure that the core sample results are circulated to you before any action's taken with the trees.
Good. So we had that recommendation, which is a motion, and we had a move and a seconder. We've had the discussion. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Thank you very much. Thank you for the discussion, everybody. That's good. All right, moving on to item 8.8, minutes, Whitton Courthouse Historical Museum Committee, page 327. There's a recommendation put forward by staff for us to look at. The council notes for information the minutes from the Whitton Courthouse Historical Museum Committee meeting held on 18th of February 2026, 18th of March. Do I have a move and a seconder? Councillor Wright? Yep, good. And Councillor Kidd. Any discussion? All right, I'll put the motion. Those in favour, say aye. Those against, I declare it as carried. Well, we've got to the conclusion of the meeting, everybody. Well done, well done. So, if no more further business, I declare it closed at 7:54. Thank you very much. Good.